Hello again and welcome to Pearl Magazine. Many people are talking about ChatGPT. It's a type of generative AI which creates original content. Zela reports on how the technology is used in the city and whether it will displace jobs.
Fred Ong is the CEO of a virtual insurance company that started in 2019. It sells its products online. The company started using generative artificial intelligence such as ChatGPT to help write articles for its health blog about 3 months ago. Generative AI is able to create new content.
Fred, how do you use generative AI to write this article here?
Sure, let me show you how to do that in our Snack, which is our internal communication that we have a built-in AI engines. So let's say you are a health-related blog writer. Please use lung cancer as a topic.
He's writing what's called a prompt.
So it's writing it right now?
Yes.
Wow.
So you can see that it can do it in seconds.
It's all done. I think that was like less than 1 minute.
Yes, it's a lot more efficient.
So can this be published on the web right away?
No, we think it's still very important that we have it reviewed by the health professionals. So for example, some of the articles we did before, we have it reviewed by the internal medical editorial team, reviewed by the doctors, reviewed by the dietitians. We need to make sure that information is accurate and also up to date.
Now it takes about 75 minutes from the AI writing an article to a health professional reviewing it and to publishing it on the website. In the past, without generative AI, the entire process took a few days to a week. Fred says generative AI has enabled the company to produce more articles.
We have been writing articles in the past 4 years. We're able to produce 1,000 articles in 4 years. But then the question comes down to how do we grow another 10 times? So we have to use technology. So we are encouraging our employees to all embrace technology.
Right now, generative AI is for internal use only. Fred has no plans to have the AI or chatbot directly interact with customers.
There's a general concern about directly exposing the chatbot to the customers about insurance advice, because you don't know whether it's accurate. If you deploy AI technology, you still need to comply with all the insurance regulations. You need to make sure that you're acting in the best interest of the company. So at the end, we still want to keep it for internal use.
Okay, so we're going to try using generative AI. We're using a program called ChatGPT. Now I'm going to tell it to write a biography of me, Zela, in 100 words. Let's see what it says. So Zela is a Chinese-American entrepreneur, inventor, and investor. She is the founder and CEO of her own company, which focuses on developing innovative products for the health and wellness industry. As you can tell, this is completely wrong. So if you're going to use generative AI, please fact check it and take it with a grain of salt.
Yes, I think it will give a lot of people a...
Terry Lam works in the film industry. He has a background in visual effects and writes screenplays. He's been using generative AI for about 3 years.
Terry, how do you use generative AI to conceptualize ideas for a film?
We use a program called Midjourney, and when we get into it, we will ask the Midjourney to think about an image, which is our concept. Like for example, if now I have a concept of a lady, Hong Kong lady dressed in red, and all the element is get from the internet. There's old ladies, younger ladies.
Generative AI has helped Terry to learn about the cultural nuances of some of his film ideas.
When I asked the Midjourney to generate a fight scene of 2 people fighting, so you see it come up with this very cinematic image. But what is interesting that when I asked the Midjourney to generate a fight scene for Hong Kong action movie about 2 people, I found that there's not only 2 people, always come up with 2 people and a group of other gangsters. It also helped me to learn more about what I'm doing and what means Hong Kong fighting movie.
But the AI program doesn't always create the images that Terry wants.
For example, if I want to generate a group of kids, they are painting on a Chinese opera mask, and I get a result of the mask is putting on their face, not painting with their hand, which is not what I want from the generative AI.
So Terry, if you weren't using generative AI to conceptualize ideas for film, what were you using in the past?
In the past, if I want to have a concept art visualized into images, I need to ask an artist, as you see, this is an example for a Monkey King concept. And the artist will firstly draft some very rough sketch like this for me, and this usually takes a few hours. If you want to have the detail as the Midjourney generate for you, it usually takes at least 2 days.
So the generative AI is just a lot faster.
Yeah, as you see, the generative AI usually can make a very photorealistic and also very detailed image within 30 seconds. Yeah, so this is a huge advance in the process.
While generative AI is not always accurate, Terry thinks it's good enough that some entry-level concept artists and graphic designer jobs will disappear from the film industry.
For a very beginner designer or artist, they need to compete with the generative AI. This is a very big challenge for them because generative AI can easily make some very beginning concept.
Globally, 300 million jobs could be lost or displaced by generative AI. But it could also mean new jobs will be created and an increase in economic growth.
Actually, they can suggest a lot of different kind of codes for us to
This class of young students is learning new skills to navigate a world with generative AI.
I will be teaching the teenagers all about ChatGPT, what it is to be generative AI. So what we teach them is how to generate image, generate voice, and generate codes, generate text. We want them to know how they would learn tech better.
The Education Center has been offering classes on generative AI since last December. And Ellen's surprised at how much the students know already.
20–40% of them actually have been using it already. So what I mean is they have been trying to use different generative AI text generator to help them generate ideas, to help them do their homework. Some of them, because they are very into the gaming industry, so they use certain channels like Discord, and they have actually get access to different kind of image generative platform, and they start generating images and to have fun of it. Anson, can you ask ChatGPT what I should use?
Anson's excited about learning how to generate something new today.
Before, I thought only text and maybe images could be on the spot generated, except now I know that using that thing is called voice mode, it can now convert text to speech. Actually, I need text to speech, but now text to music even.
Kathy wants her son to have the skills to succeed in a future with generative AI.
Whether you like it or not, I think in the future it's going to be a technology world. So it's going to be in all walks of life. So whether you want to be a doctor or a lawyer or even just maybe in marketing, I think AI can help a lot and maybe replacing a lot of the administrative or even a lot of work that the people that are doing. So I think it's basically like a third language, I would say, for the kids to learn right now to get prepared themselves for the future world.
With generative AI, I feel like everyone will be using it as a very important tool, like how we use calculator, like how we use different kind of softwares on your phone. We never imagined that we will be using it daily. But now with this new tool, we are getting adapted to how we can use it. And I believe everyone in the workforce or in daily life, they will be using it day to day.
Martin Wong is a computer scientist and the Dean of Engineering at Chinese University. He explains the potential and pitfalls of generative artificial intelligence. What caused this sudden interest in generative AI?
It is really this ChatGPT. Now, before ChatGPT, there are a lot of generative AI. And you have seen DALL-E, Midjourney. These are programs that will generate images. But ChatGPT suddenly make a computer, people realize it behave like a human.
Is the generative AI trend here to stay, or will it fade away?
This is going to stay. And you'll see a transformation of everything we do. A lot of previously, you do Google search. Previously, how you work with a Word program, how you work with email, it will all change. In 5 days, ChatGPT had 1 million users, and it takes much longer for the other programs, like Netflix, 3.5 years.
What should people be aware of when using generative AI?
You have heard of AI hallucination. There was a court case. A person tried to sue an airline about the service on the flight. And what the lawyer did was filed in the paper documents filed for the court case, lists a lot of prior similar cases and with court decisions. But on the other hand, none of them exist.
Now that generative AI is so popular, what does this mean for society in the future?
You have advancement on not just a program that can talk to you. A program can interface with like a humanoid-like things. And then there are other advancements. Of course, when you get to that stage, it's scary because these robots is going to be much more clever than you. So we have to really think about whether we want to go there, or maybe slow down, or maybe have more regulations to make sure that we're not creating something that hurt mankind.
Are there any regulations in Hong Kong or elsewhere around generative AI?
Mainland was the first one, if I'm correct, that came up with a draft. Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI, the company that created ChatGPT, actually showed up at a Senate hearing in the US, so advocating that there should be regulations.
When we come back, skateboarders trying to find a place to hone their skills in Hong Kong. Stay with us. Welcome back to Pearl Magazine. Ever since skateboarding was officially added to the Olympic lineup in Tokyo 2020, the popularity of the sport soared. The SAR's chief executive announced in last year's policy address that promoting skateboarding would be a priority in the city's future sports development. Reporter Tina Jiang finds out if the legitimacy of the sport has been boosted and how the skateboarding community has evolved over the past few decades.
I carry my skateboard all the time. As soon as I step out of the MTR, I skate on the streets. Sometimes I get out of Teo King Link Station and skate all the way to Lohas Park.
64-year-old Peter Leung chose to spend his Saturday morning at the skate park in Cheung Kwan O. Since the 1970s, he has been skateboarding for around half a century.
Skateboarders usually call me Uncle Peter. I became a sailor before 18 and worked as a trainee in a shipping company. I always took a skateboard with me on the ship. I sailed for 7 years, and when I went to foreign countries like the United States, I skated around their skate parks.
But when he came back to Hong Kong in the 1980s, Peter started to realize that skateboarders are not welcome everywhere.
I was at Morrison Hill one time and met a gentleman there. He's a father wearing a decent shirt and pants. When his son saw an uncle skateboarding, he immediately told him to leave. Leave now. These are street boys. It's street boy stuff. I was actually stunned.
Like many other skateboarders, Peter started skating on the street in the early days.
Back then, there were not so many skate parks in Hong Kong. Everyone skated secretly in the park or on the streets after 11 p.m.
所謂過咗11點啦，咁喺街啊，咁樣，所以滑板咧就俾人個印象咧就係。
So skateboards gave people the impression that they were street boys. Many Hong Kong people of the older generation don't accept us,
即係覺得你都係飛仔啊
thinking that we are bad boys or gangsters.
仔多類啦。
Fly out over here， 呢個飛出嚟啊，好嘛？
As someone who also started skateboarding on the street, Warren Stewart knows exactly where that image comes from.
Trust me, back then it wasn't as revered as it is now. It was like, oh, you know, look at these dirty skaters, like, you know, skateboard kids. The whole culture, street culture, the urban culture, of course, it's tied in with a lot of negative things like drug abuse, alcoholism, smoking. You know, that's all, that whole image. That was identified with skateboarding at one point in time.
Often referred to as the godfather of skateboarding in Hong Kong, Warren is involved with almost everything that deals with skateboarding in the city.
I didn't coin that term, but I think over the years, a lot of people refer to me that way because it's just I've been around for a long time. I'm a skateboarder for over 30 years, maybe 40. My first ever skateboard was in the 70s. I think the first wave of skateboarding. It was just like a piece of fiberglass, like shaped like a surfboard, tiny one. So I used to ride that around my grandma's house in Victoria Park. We lived near there. And no tricks, that was it.
Right after secondary school, Warren moved to London for further education. And that's where he came across modern skateboarding.
I saw magazines in a record shop and photos of people flying and riding on walls. And I was like, wow, I didn't know that could be done on a skateboard. That's where I learned about skateboarding, the type of skateboarding, the culture, and that's when I got into skateboarding, like proper, in the mid-80s.
Warren came back to Hong Kong in the early 90s, the time when street skateboarding boomed around the world.
We felt like, wow, we're in Hong Kong, one of the major urban cities in the world. We could identify with that because, you know, kids skating in New York City and Washington, D.C. and Los Angeles, all skating ledges and street. I met local skaters. We meet up every week. We used to just gather in like playgrounds, you know, Southern Playground in Wan Chai, in Central, and we just skate around the city, you know, street skating. We were kind of like rebels back then, skating on streets, you know, getting kicked out of spots and causing a nuisance, you know. So that's kind of the image of skateboarders back in the day because we're skating on the streets, we have nowhere to skate. So we had to, you know, be scoundrels and, you know, skate around the city, avoiding security guards, avoiding police.
That inspired him to advocate for proper skate parks and recognition of skateboarding in Hong Kong.
89 or 90, I did the first kind of petition to the LCSD at the time to ask for a dedicated place for skateboarding. We worked with a skate shop at the time, get signatures, and that was the beginning. Kids shouldn't be skating in the street, in traffic, where there are other people. So at least we give them a safe environment.
In 2004, Hong Kong opened the first public skate park in Lai Chi Kok officially. And now there are 13 government-operated skateboarding facilities in the city. Later, in Tokyo 2020, skateboarding became an official Olympic medal event for the very first time. Warren believes that has directly influenced Hong Kong authorities to invest more in this sport.
One of our older skate parks was been around for almost 15, 18 years, and it was already worn down. So when the announcement that skateboarding was included in the Olympics, we wrote to the authorities and say, hey, look, this is a new opportunity, not just to upgrade our skate park, but to upgrade it to meet, you know, these new standards. So we're very lucky we got that approved in 2017, and the Lai Chi Kok or Meifu Skate Park was completed in 2019, and that's the first sort of street-certified skate park in Hong Kong.
In last year's policy address, the SAR's chief executive announced that promoting skateboarding would be a priority in the city's future sports development. Also, an indoor street skate park is likely to be recommended and approved by the government at Kwun Chong Building in the Jordan district.
We've been telling them for years, skateboarding is the best. Now they're starting to believe us. And, you know, I think that's what we see in the policy address. That's what we see in the Olympics, is that yeah, it's getting much more recognition for what it truly is rather than a kind of misrepresentation.
Sociologist Paul O'Connor has been researching skateboarding in Hong Kong for nearly 10 years. He is also a lifelong skateboarder.
And I've been skateboarding since I was 11 years old, and I've been fortunate enough to skateboard all around the world, but particularly for a long time in Hong Kong.
Paul has always been a keen promoter of skateboarding, and what he appreciates the most about skateboarding is that it accepts and connects everyone.
I'm an academic, I've got a PhD, and I'm perfectly accepted as a skateboarder. Someone who's got tattoos, someone that works as a mechanic skateboarder, someone who works as a teacher, someone that works as a dentist, they're all skateboarders. I spent a long time in Hong Kong, but as a white European coming to the city, skateboarding gave me more access to friendships from all sorts of different people than anything else I engaged in. Young, old, different classes, different races, different religions. I met everyone in Hong Kong through skateboarding. I have skateboarding friends all over the world, and I know if I turn up in a country or a town, a city, and I've got my skateboard in my hand, then I'll make new friends. It's a passport.
I broke this once when I fell down, and I had to rest for a month. Of course, my family said not to play anymore. It's dangerous. But I have always insisted on my hobby. Like playing football, you see those guys in their 70s or 80s still playing on the court. People don't think that's strange. But if you see a 70-year-old guy skateboarding, someone will think it's a bit weird. I don't care about what other people think, as long as my feet and knees can still support me standing on the skateboard. I will continue to skate.
I always say skateboarding is kind of like self-expression, art in motion, right? There's no rules, right? I can do whatever I feel like doing on a skateboard. I feel that freedom, going along, going fast, riding, jumping. It just feels great. You know, it's kind of like surfing on concrete. It keeps me moving, it keeps me healthy, it keeps me young, I guess. Don't stereotype yourself like, okay, I'm a certain age, I shouldn't be doing this, or I should be doing this or this. Just do what you love. Just do what you love. I mean, I'm going to try, and I hope I can keep skating as long as I can.
You can catch part 2 of our skateboarding series next week. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.